quick thank you to our sponsors for making this podcast possible. They keep this show free to listen to. Does connected parenting feel confusing? What do I do in this situation? How do I handle that issue? Let me help you make more sense of it all in my 30-day challenge. We meet for 4 weeks of group coaching, and you get access to all of the Peace in Parenting online materials, my entire Connected Parent Mastermind. Plus, we give you access to our school community. I help you get more connected and jumpstart your parenting in this 30-day challenge. So go to the show notes and sign up, and I'll see you there. Thanks for joining me on the Peace in Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the Peace in Parenting podcast. I'm Michelle. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for everybody who's written reviews all across all the platforms, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Amazon Music. I really appreciate it. Thank you for leaving them. They really do make it so much more well worth it to do this work, because I know there's people out there who are enjoying it. And sometimes I wonder. So thank you so much for leaving those. I really appreciate it. I wanted to talk about this idea about defiance, quote unquote. Defiance is one of those things that's really hard for us, right? We don't think we're being listened to when our kid is defiant, quote unquote. We don't think that our kid is respectful when they're defiant. We don't think that they are kind. Sometimes we see them as being purposefully defiant. Lots of things bubble up when we see defiance, because probably, most likely, we were not allowed to be defiant or push back or whatever in our own childhoods. And so when we see it and when our kids display it, it probably shocks us, that they're doing it. How could they possibly do that? And the reason they're doing it is because they're not fearful, right? We lived with fear parenting. We were scared of our parents. We were scared they would do something, right? We were scared that they would yell at us or take something away, or worse, hit us, or who knows. So we were fearful. So of course we didn't do those things. And that was considered good parenting, right? If you get your kid not to be defiant by making them fearful of you, then you've succeeded. Well, that's not what I believe. And I don't believe the people that are listening to this podcast obviously don't believe that either. We want kids who can feel like they can be defiant, who feel like they can push back, who feel like they can have their free will and autonomy. But how do we respond to it is the thing. Like, if we're not going to punish them or yell at them or give them a consequence or shame them or all those things, what do we do when our child is defiant? A couple of things. So thinking about defiance or refusal or not cooperating or whatever, I think we can think of these ideas that when that happens, now this is only true if you're living in a connected home, but that happens when disconnection starts to happen. A kid is feeling disconnected, especially if they're doing it in a very unkind way. They're probably going through an experience where they might need connection. And who knows what that is? They also might be trying on this behavior or this idea of standing up for themselves or defying authority or, finding their autonomy or free will or whatever that is. And so a bunch of things can be going on, but nonetheless, we have to have a response to it. And traditionally, our parents would have responded with punitivity, with a consequence or a punishment or a bribe or a threat or yelling or whatever. And many of us want to do that because our parents saw us as, being disrespectful. And so sometimes we see our kids that way too. Well, getting rid of that, first of all, that ideology, that thought process, that mindset, getting rid of that mindset can really help you choose a better behavior. So all things are not the same and all experiences are not the same. So where I would use one tool, I might not always use it in every situation, but I'll just give you a couple of things. So like if Pia refuses to take out the garbage, I know I've talked about the garbage so much, but this has been our plate, right? And if she refuses to take out the garbage, sometimes if she's not off track enough, right? If she's not in a rush or really having a hard time, or she's just kind of like, I don't want to take out the garbage. And I think that distinction is very important because what I'm going to offer as a tool might not work when a kid is totally offline or really having a hard time or rushing around to getting something done. And then we have to really evaluate, is that the time to be asking? We'll get into that in a minute. But when she's just like, oh, I don't want to do it. Sometimes I like to use play just to like break things up. And I'll be like, "Grr, I'm coming to get you. Grr, I'm going to bite you on your cheek." I just get like kind of silly and stupid and try to get connected to her and try to get some levity in the house. Now, this also can feel manipulative. And I've said this before. If you aren't living in a house that's full of joy, that's full of play, that's full of laughter, because if you're only bringing it in these moments where you want her to get the garbage done, or taken out, that's not really going to be effective. And it's obvious that you're just using it to get what you want. I'm using it in this way, very authentically, to get connection going because she's feeling kind of icky and the house is feeling icky. I asked her to do something she doesn't want to do. And I'm abandoning the ask at this. I'm not doing this necessarily to get her to do the thing, to take out the garbage. I'm doing it to get connection moving. And maybe when I get connection moving, then she'll be more likely to take out the garbage. By the way, I don't even have to return to the ask. I can just get connected to her, let the garbage sit. And 9 times out of 10 now, because we've been working on this a while, she'll just take out the garbage on her own without being asked. If I'm patient, we often get super impatient too around these chores and around things to do. I know that my dad will just be like, well, I'm just going to take it out. And I'm like, no, just leave it. Just leave it. It's okay. He's like, it's gross. And I'm like, it is gross, but like, let's just leave it because also part of the natural consequence is that the garbage gets bigger and I have a second garbage sitting next to the first garbage with more stuff in it. And that's part of the natural consequence of not taking it out in a timely manner or when it's full is that it gets ultra full. Now you have 2 garbages to take out. And so we're teaching lessons and those lessons often take time and are messy and you're not going to get the things that you want done in the way in which our parents expected us to do it and we did it. But what we're doing is we're teaching a child many, many things. And we're doing it through the lens of connection instead of through the lens of manipulation. So sometimes I come with play and I'll get silly and icky, silly and weird and stupid and be the butt of the joke and be a monster. Even my 16-year-old, be a monster and, bite her on her neck and just kind of be dumb. And it breaks things up. And what I've learned now with her, and you'll have to experiment with your kids, but what I've learned with her is that she will return and do the garbage on her own if I give her enough space. She doesn't like to be told 75 times to take out the garbage. By the way, who does? So if you've asked once, that should be enough. Don't continue to ask. You're going to make yourself mad. You're going to make them mad. Leave the ask alone and try to think about other ideas and other avenues of incorporating connection. That's truly what we want to do because connection helps us no matter what. We're going to take a break from our show to hear from our sponsors. Without their sponsorship, I wouldn't be able to bring you this incredible show free of charge. So I'll see you back in a few minutes. Esme and I both suffer from allergies, and there's nothing more debilitating than trying to have a conversation while in the middle of an uncontrollable sneezing attack. Over 100 million Americans suffer from allergies, and they're not just an inconvenience. They're the number one reason that people miss work. Good news, everyone. Curex can treat those allergies effectively with just a few drops a day, and in 3 to 6 months, you could start feeling real relief. It's easier than brushing your teeth. These allergy drops are trusted by doctors and backed by science with hundreds of studies from top institutions like Harvard Medical School and the Mayo Clinic. Curex makes getting these allergy drops super easy and affordable. Everything is 100% online. Check out Curex. Treatment starts as low as $59 a month. And if you sign up now, Curex is currently running a promotion and you can save up to 80% off of the $49 sign-up fee. Go to getcurex.com. That's GET CUREX.com. Don't let allergies control your life. Take control with Curex. Go to getcurex.com. That's GETCUREX.com. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. Have you checked out Uncommon Goods? It's not your average gift company, and everything they have is so special. I found the cutest handmade slippers for the girls and raw gemstone earrings for my sister. Both were so unique and unexpected, not like your average gifts. At Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artisans and small independent businesses. Many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches, so shop now before they sell out this holiday season. And with every purchase you make, Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/peace. That's uncommongoods.com/peace for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. Struggling with weight makes parenting even more difficult. But like getting help in our parenting, there's also help to regulate our weight. Mochi Health takes a holistic approach to weight loss that includes visits with board-certified doctors, nutrition consultants, and even science-backed GLP-1 medications like Ozempic delivered to your door. Mochi Health offers affordable and accessible support regardless of insurance coverage. With Mochi, their dietitians work hand in hand with your medication to create personalized nutrition plans that fit your lifestyle so you can reach your weight loss goals. They offer guidance from real doctors and registered dietitians, making easy and sustainable changes to achieve results. To get started, go to joinmochi.com, and when you use code PEACE, you will receive $40 off. Go to joinmochi.com and use code PEACE for your $40 discount today. Okay, back to the show. The other piece is, when are you asking your child to do these things? Are you asking them when they're tired and they're hungry? Are you asking them 10 minutes before bed? Or are you asking her to take out the garbage right after she took a shower? Like when are you asking, and are you being mindful about what that ask looks like and how it is being asked? Is it kind? Are you getting close to them? And how many asks have you asked today? Have you made a lot of requests? Because if you've made a lot of requests, it's really hard for a child to adhere to all the requests all the time. It can be very arduous. So all of those things play into cooperation or defiance, why a child is defiant or why a child is cooperative. The other piece is that if you're using punishments or consequences or bribes or threats or yelling or those things, they will make the defiance, they will exacerbate the defiance. They will make it worse. Only because when a child is feeling like they're being manipulated, then sometimes they get bucky and resentful and they really don't want to do what you've asked them to do. So the next time you ask them to do something after you've yelled at them or after you bribe them or after you've threatened them, they may very well say no. And depending on temperament, right? If a child is a really strong-willed kid, then of course that could be the answer, right? They're going to really stick into their strong will and say, no, I'm not doing it, or give you a really hard time, or continue to refuse and not give in. Or do you have the kid who's more withdrawn, and that withdrawn kid is going to do it, but going to do it with some internal resentment? And then will it erode the relationship that you have with that child? Either way, it's eroding a relationship. So these tools I'm giving you, the play and the ideas of connection and when to ask and how to ask, they won't work if you're using punishments and consequences. Now, another piece that might be super helpful is to empathize with a child who refuses. Oh, you don't want to take out the garbage. I know, it's so annoying. Oh, God, it's horrible. And you'll have to decide which tool you're going to use and when, and with which child and which scenarios. And you'll have to play around with it. You really will. Like, there's no, like, I'm going to give you this one thing and it's going to fix everything. These are tools to be used flexibly, to be used when you can see that a child needs empathy, or you can see that a child needs or would be able to use play. There are different ways to use these tools. And maybe you try one, maybe you try play and you're like, oh, play didn't work. But it doesn't mean play won't ever work. It means play didn't work in that moment with that child in this situation. Now I'm going to move to empathy. Empathy worked. But if you have an arsenal of connective tools, then you can always be shuffling through them until you get something that works, but always staying in the vein of connection. Connection will never fail you. But it can be confusing if you're not used to using it, and you have to really practice. That's why I tell people, like, this isn't like just like, I'm going to give you a couple of things and then you're going to be able to go off and do it. People tell me all the time, I tried connected parenting. It doesn't work. Well, what does that really mean? What did you try? What didn't you try? How many times did you try it? How many times did you fail? How many times were you successful? Which tools did you use with which kids and how? And it's all very nuanced, right? You can't just expect to use something and try it one time, and then if it doesn't work, deem it not effective. I've used many things that have failed. But what never fails me is having a connected relationship with my child and using the tools of connection to get there, and using the tools of connections within these hard moments. And I think that's why our Connected Parent Mastermind is so incredible, because every week we meet 3 days a week and we really dive into the tools, the sub-tools, the mindset, what works, what didn't work this time, but it might work next time, what we can try, what other people have tried. And we come together collectively to work on this ideology of parenting through connection. And it's so effective. It really, really is. But you have to be committed to it, and you have to really know what it is. So if you're like, I'm trying these things and some things work and sometimes they don't, and I'm confused and I don't know and blah, 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 join our Connected Parent Mastermind. It's our group coaching program. It's amazing. I teach the class on Wednesday. My coaches teach the Tuesday, Thursday classes. Plus you get all kinds of online materials. You get all kinds of, I get 10 modules of instruction that are me teaching videos. You get a school community, and we get you a listening partner. It's a great way to get started in connected parenting. So if you're interested in it, we will post it in the show notes. You can also DM me on Instagram and say, I want to do your Connected Parent Mastermind. You can email us at support@peaceandparentingla.com, and we can get you started. All right. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast, and I'll see you next time.